We are now joined by the winner of the Bosch Pole Award, and that's the driver of the number 23, Bubba Wallace. Bubba, obviously coming into this weekend, need to make up some ground. Check the first box with this pole win. Talk about how much confidence this gives you going into tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's like I told Lee. I think you looked at us coming in and being on the bubble, 21 points out, ton of pressure, right? Well, I think the pressure just switched. So we're not here to mess around. I showed up with a more open and calm demeanor, more free and relaxing demeanor, but at the same time, I don't want to be messed with. So it's a fine balance you got to walk. So just appreciate the team. We unloaded. We did some changes to the car like in the spring race, and it just wouldn't give me the right read going into qualifying. So I told Booty, hey, I need to be this to have a good qualifying lap, and here we are. So just everybody on the 23 car, everybody back at airspeed, both cars just showing up with speed at Darlington for the Southern 500 is super cool. I've been close here, I think once or twice in qualifying, so to finally pull it out, it's like finally we got it. So with all that being said, the elephant in the room, tomorrow is a whole different day. And I'm excited to see what tomorrow offers.
Okay, if you have a question for Bubba, raise your hand. We'll get your mic. We'll start up here to Holly and then go to Kelly.
Yep.
Holly Kane with the NASCAR Wire Service. You kind of just mentioned this, but what kind of confidence does that give you that this was the first box you needed to tick and you did it? And looking ahead, I mean, this has got to be exactly, as you said, how you wanted to start the weekend, but saying it and doing it are two different things, and you did it.
Yeah, for sure. To be honest with you, I was pretty pissed off after practice and not being on the top. I set the expectations pretty high, and I was like, we were sixth. I was like, God almighty. All right, I wanted to make a statement, and I didn't do that, so I had to make that up in qualifying. So it's good to be where we're at. It's so hard at this level, right? The 17, I don't know where he qualified. He's top 10, but there's no free lunch. That's one of Booty's many sayings, one of his favorites. Every change you make or everything you do, there's no free lunch. There's nothing guaranteed on the other side. So I said this a couple weeks ago. I think after Richmond, it's going to be a dogfight to the very end, and I think that's what makes us drivers all great. Is we are excited to show up and compete and put it all on the line for our team, our sponsors, our people that are working on these cars, and we get to do that tomorrow here in Darlington. So, the confidence is there. I get to get humbled here in the next couple hours going back to race Legend Car tonight against Keelan. So, yeah, I'll tell him I got a Southern 500 pole. He doesn't.
Kelly.
Kelly, CrandallRacer.com. Bubba, you've started 8th or better, I think, now in 5 of your last 6 starts here. You're working on 4 straight top 10s. Is there a feel or rhythm here that you feel like you've started to pick up on of what has made you so successful recently?
Hell no, I'm pounding it off the fence. Round 1 and 2. It just so happened to work. It's this sport is where we're at now is so data driven, and Denny talks about that a lot. How much we dive into data, and it took me a while to just get on board with that. But knowing how much vital information there is inside of all that data, now you can get a little too much into the weeds, and so you have to kind of pick and choose. But we've been really good here in qualifying, and we've also given up a really good race car of trying too hard from what I'm hearing from data and just not getting back to the basics. So today, I've determined that Darlington's probably one of the, if not the hardest place to qualify. Just the way you have to approach practice to qualifying trim, it's totally different. For example, Kansas, the first couple laps in practice, you're damn near wide open. Qualifying, you're wide open, so it's close. Here, you're finessing it in practice, and then it's like, hey, good luck. So it's all goes back to JR, John Vining, our analytics group. They do a really good job of feeding us the right information to translate that to on-track performance.
I did want to ask, so the run or the lap in the first round, what was the battle between the head and the throttle pedal there of keeping your foot in it?
So I'm sitting there, and I remember coming here a year ago, right? A year ago, and we were pretty good in practice, and JR's like, hey, you need to be deeper on entry. And I'm like, okay. I went out and qualified, and I said, here's deeper. We were 18th or whatever. And it's like, it's not what I meant. So you have to understand it, and you have to dive into what that actually means. And we came here in the spring, and my car was okay, and I made a move to the bottom in 3 and 4, not the bottom, but the middle, and that gave up our pole time. So here we had a goal of make sure you run the fence in 3 and 4. And I looked up right before I qualified. I looked at an email from our analytics stuff, and I said, okay, I got on the gas right here in the spring, so I'm gonna do that. It's a little bit hotter. Track temp's up, grip's not like it is in the spring, and it caught me by surprise. So it's tough. It's tough to go out. I mean, Larson ran a 43, 44. I don't know. It was close, right? And so I thought I definitely gave some up, especially through 1 and 2 on the second round. But the first round was just perfect.
Bob?
Bob Pockers, Fox Sports. With you starting first and Busher starting 10th, does that give you any thought of, okay, there is a chance to gain enough stage points to make it a battle on points?
Oh, I mean, yeah, anything can happen. We've seen, look at last week, right? Anything can happen. So we have to run our own race. It makes it a lot easier for us. Having that first pit stall, as long as we execute and make the right calls, do great on pit road, then, all I want is every single person a part of this team, including myself, is to go to bed tomorrow night saying we did whatever we could. We did all we could. And maybe it was good enough, maybe it wasn't. So that's the lottery ticket. We'll find out tomorrow after the race.
And is racing a Legends car part of doing all that you can, or is that just to try to avoid distraction and just clear your head?
Hell, I got my ass kicked. You were there, Bob. This is bad. I didn't need you to confirm that, but no, I've loved racing legend cars. I haven't been in one in over 5 years, and it's totally different now, and it's more frustrating of not being able to jump back into it and being as competitive and successful as I was. But on the other side of that, I'm a competitor. I'll make anything a competition, right? I bet I can write a better article than you. So, it's just a competition thing. Don't take that. It's kind of a joke. I know I can't, but I'm going to make it a competition. But it's just that side of it is competing and having fun with it all and being around the kids there. And, it was funny. We were talking about qualifying in the legend car, and I said, y'all ain't got nothing on qualifying in Darlington. And I was giving them just a little flavor of, the difference between groups and what you have to do in the car. And I'm glad I told them somewhat of the truth because it ended up working out today. But just going over there to race legend cars to have fun.
Claire?
When's our riding competition going to happen? Whenever our photo competition. Aha! Okay, fair. Notice how he didn't say driving because he's already lost on that one. Hey, you never know.
Claire B. Lang, what's it like to race Keelan Harvick and coached by his dad? And can you also talk about how good he is or what you see in him?
Yeah, he's competitive. He's fast. He's a sponge. He's a cool little kid. All the kids over there with Joe Ryan, he's got a good group of kids driving for him. And me popping over there as the elder statesman, I'm telling them all what not to do because I've been in their shoes. And every single one of them is competitive. You got Kits Miller over there. It's cool to see, and as much as it sucks running 4th and 5th to your teammates like that, it's cool to see. Like, it's cool to go back to being in that position when I was just a kid and figuring out like Darlington feels like Florence feels like Daytona to them. I remember showing up to the tracks in a legend car and you're like, this is way too big, right? And the speed just gets faster and faster. But Keelan does a great job. Obviously, the Harvick family, Kevin and Delana being there, Piper's there as well. It's really, really cool. So excited to go over there tonight. And like I said earlier, be humbled very quick. Hopefully we got it dialed in. So we'll see. All in all, having fun.
Thank you.
Any final questions for Bubba? We'll end over here with Chris.
Chris Weaver, Fox 8 High Point. Bubba, Talking about going and racing other places like Florence. Well, you're going to start next season at Bowman Gray, a place where you've run in the K&N Series a couple of times. I think you finished 6th and 2nd there. When you think about that and you think back on that experience at Bowman Gray and how those races went, what do you expect on February the 2nd at Bowman Gray Stadium when y'all show up?
Ooh. Well, hopefully that's for the Clash, right? Yeah. That was obvious when they said they purchased a few months ago. Everybody knew that. I don't know why they waited on announcing that. But man, driver intros for Bubba Wallace is going to be incredible there. I can't wait. Passionate crowd there. So it'll be fun. It'll be wild. I'm glad we're not flying out 4 hours out West Coast, you know. Somehow, some way, they're going to count that as an off weekend because we're only in Winston-Salem. So we'll see.
Congratulations, Bubba. Good
Thanks,
luck
guys.
tomorrow.
I appreciate it. Toyota, Air Force, Airspeed, all that. Yep.